Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm meadsy69 and welcome back to the channel. Today we have the M60 versus the M48 PATTON, both American tier 10 medium tanks. Very similar. The M60 was a tank that was just given randomly to people, and to this day we still don't know why. Now, what is the difference between both tanks? Now, the DPM on the M60 is a little bit higher than the M48 PATTON. They have both exactly the same gun, the 105mm gun, M68, both have the exact same gun. The penetration and the alpha is both the same, but with the DPM, the rate of fire and the reload is ever so slightly better on the M60. Shell velocity is exactly the same. Also, the aim time and the dispersion is better on the M60, and so is the gun depression. It has 9 degrees, whereas the PATTON has, the M60 has 10 degrees, whereas the PATTON has 9 degrees. Same speed, however, the power to rate ratio goes into the favour of the PATTON, and so is the camo. Now, the armor wise, again, they are ever so the turret is exactly the same, but the hull is slightly better on the PATTON. 110mm on the front hull, compared to 93 on the M60. Now, that's not great. The turret is where this thing starts getting all those bounces, and with the big light on the front of the M60, that is actually very troll. People always try and goes for the light, and it just doesn't work. So we are going to watch a game in each. I did have actually a couple of replays in each, but the video would have been a bit too long, so I didn't want to make it too long. So I got the M60 when it first come around. Now, I don't actually like what Wargaming done. I mean, still to this day, we don't know why, and we're never going to know why people actually got given the M60. There was a few rumours. People say that it was the amount of money you spent, but I don't think that's entirely true, because some people didn't spend a lot of money at all, and they didn't get the tank. I mean, they got the tank, and there's some people that spent shitloads and they didn't get the tank. So we're never going to actually know why we got the tank. But I'm actually quite annoyed, because there is a reason. There's a reason people got given this tank. There has to be a reason people randomly got given a free tier 10 medium tank. But what I don't like is the fact that Wargaming then went on to sell the tank. I mean, it come up as a pop-up offer for some people for £100, and other than that, you can normally get it in either crates or Christmas events. I don't like that. This was a reward tank as such for certain players, and then Wargaming, I think they should have just left it as that. Don't ever bring it back. But for money wise, they keep bringing it back every Christmas, every other event. In the auction, this always comes back, and I just wish that Wargaming would just never sell it again, because I mean, it meant something back in the day to players. I mean, we don't know why we got it, but we still got it, and there was a reason. So it actually meant something to us players. Like, yeah, we done something right, or we did something that triggered us getting the tank for free. But now it means nothing. It means nothing. Like, people don't know if you've got the tank. I mean, you might have this camo, which basically is I think using this camo, because people that got given the tank also got given this camo, where if you buy the tank in the auction, or I don't think you get this camo. So only the camo actually stands out. Only the camo actually means something now, instead of the actual tank. But other than that, it's still a good tank. It's all the other mediums around in tier 10 have pretty much all been buffed, and it kind of left this in the PATTON. People don't play them half as much as they used to. Now, they're still great tanks. They don't get enough credit. Definitely they don't get enough credit. Using these on ridgelines, using the turret, then this is where this tank is absolutely amazing. Doesn't make much credits, but it is an enriched tank. It's not a premium, it is an enriched tank, so it's not there to make credits in tier 10. It's always been that. But both tanks are equally as good. I mean, they both really, even though the M60 has better DPM, to be honest, I can't really sit there and say one tank's better than the other. They both play the same. The DPM is ever so slight. I mean, it means nothing. It really doesn't. There's nothing in it. I think the only thing that really changes both tanks is the 10 degrees of gun depression on the M60, but this still has 9 degrees. I mean, the accuracy on both are still really good. The aim time is still really good. We got that nice shot there on this Sheridan. But I still like both tanks. I still like both tanks, and some people I've seen lately are saying that this tank is now shit. It's now shit because everything else around it's been buffed. Now, I totally disagree. It's not a shit tank. I think it's a nice tank when used properly. You have to use it properly. Yes, it hasn't got a hole, like you can get penned by anything, but this kind of tank is not made to brawl. Like, it's made to go on the ridge lines and get people to try and shoot your turret, because your turret is so strong, very, very strong. People are not getting through that turret, and if you can play this on maps like mines, you will have such a fun game, such a fun battle with every single person bouncing you. But if you go in the open like we are now, where people can use their gun depression, if they've got gun depression, to get their gun down enough on your hull, then you're not going to bounce anything. You're not going to bounce anything. So there's a specific way to play this kind of tank. It's not the DPM machine like a T62 with that amazing turret the T62 has got and low to the ground. It's a big tank. It is a big medium tank, and it still has that nice turret, but it has got that massive hull. So you need to use that gun depression that it's got max. Like, you need to max that gun depression. Use the whole 9 degrees of gun depression. Use the ridge lines, find ridge lines, and that's when you will start bouncing these shots. If you don't use the ridge lines, you're not going to bounce. If you brawl with another medium such as the T62, you're going to lose. You're going to lose because this tank has no armor, like side or rear, whereas the T62 is very low to the ground. So if you brawl with a T62 and he face hugs you, you're only really going to see his turret, and he's going to see your tracks, he's going to see your hull, and that is a losing battle that you're gonna face with a T62 or T54 or Object 140. Not so much an Object 140 because the turret on the Object 140 is not as strong, but this tank can, when in the correct position, you can bounce anything. You can bounce Jaegeroos, you can bounce Death Stars, anything, E100s, anything. When you're in that position, you can bounce every shot that comes your way if you're using it correctly. And that's probably why people don't like this tank, because they're not using the tank as they should. They're not going up to the ridge lines. They're using it as a medium tank to brawl. And as I've said, like, most mediums you come up against in tier 10 now, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose. The 121, great DPM, great turret, low to the ground. The Object 140, the T62, the E50M. These are all heavily armored tanks, or really good armored tanks that are, apart from the E50M, but that has an amazing hull. Where this hasn't. It's different to the rest. It's a big tank. You're not going to be able to brawl. I mean, I wouldn't play this front line. If you can't get into the ridge lines, I wouldn't play it front line. I would play it second line behind your mediums. Let them take the shots. Let the T62s or any other medium take the shots instead of you, because you're the most juiciest target. You're the biggest target out of the lot of them. I mean, look, we're higher than, or we're taller than this 1115A. So you need to pay attention to that. You need to use that. I mean, look, no chance. We are 1300 damage, and we were side onto the guy. Like, you've got no armor. Apart from that turret, you've got no armor. So use the ridge lines, use the gun depression. Don't get caught out in the open. If you do get caught out in the open, make sure you're not front line. Make it so people don't look at you, and that is when you will start to realize, actually, this is a pretty good tank. And we've had a good game. I mean, we've had a really good game. We've been holding the ridgeline. We've been pushing the reds as much as we can, using the gun depression over that ridgeline to get the shots off, and we're up to 5,300 damage. The pattern on the enemy team is going to rush. We're going to wait for him to come around, and we're going to get our 4th kill. So we do finish on 4 kills, 5.4k damage, and we do get the ace. So both tanks are equally as good. I haven't really got a favourite between both of them. They're both just as good, and they are both nice tanks when used correctly. So I hope you enjoyed it, guys. I am meadsy69, and I will catch you all soon. Bye bye.
with